is my wife Kay, and I'm Jack Kent. This is our home, and we appreciate you coming tonight. And thank you for accepting our invitation for this gathering that we're having in support of Israel and some of the wonderful work that's being done over there. And we want to introduce the people that are doing that in a few minutes. But before we started, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of our dignitaries that are here. Congressman Broun, who's our U.S. representative to the U.S. House of Representatives in Washington. And we'd like to ask Paul to say a couple words.
I need a microphone. All around. Okay. All around. Okay. Thank y'all for being here for this occasion. It is a tremendous honor and a blessing for me to be here. And I praise God for each one of you, because what Jack and Kay doing is to try to help with this ministry is absolutely critical for not only the people that are being ministered to, but also for Israel itself, for the Palestinians, and for the United States. So the more you can help, please do. If you've written a check, please write a bigger one. My wife, Nikki, my wife of 28 years, right there, Nikki Brown.
Nikki. Yeah, Nikki, come on up and say hello.
Come say hello.
Anyway, Nikki and I went to, I'm an evangelical, I'm an evangelical Christian, and in that capacity, I consider myself an adopted Jew. Because in my faith, it says that I've been grafted into the vine. And so I'm a Zionist Christian, or a Christian Zionist, however you want to. The doctor here says I'm a Christian Zionist. But anyway, when we went to Israel, we felt at home. And what I believe very firmly is that Israel not only is a stabilizing force in the Middle East, and the only stabilizing force in the Middle East, but that land was given to the Jewish people. God visited with Abraham, and he said, pack up where you're living, and we'll send you to a home that you don't know where it is. And I'm going to give you that land, and it's yours. So God gave the Israelites, the Jewish people, the permanent deed to that property, that land. And it's absolutely critical that we as Americans, our government, does everything it can to support Israel, because in that promise that God gave to Abraham when he said, pack up, he says, I'll bless those that bless you, and I'll curse those that curse you. And I think the only reason we have any kind of a blessing that's left on this country today, because we've turned away from the Lord and said we don't need you. I think the only reason we have any blessing left in this nation is because we've continued to support Israel. We must not, and must not ever even waver one iota in that, and I will not do that as a member of Congress, and I promise you that.
We also have tonight with us Georgia Attorney General Sam Owens.
It's a pleasure for my wife Lisa and I to be here with you. We're Jewish. I mention that because if someone's going to say, well, you didn't say you're a Christian evangelic. Sorry. That's right. And we've been to Israel several times. Last time I was there was 2011. And I think it's great that everyone is here today. I think it's great that everyone wants to support great causes, especially healthcare, especially the hospitals. Even as our president was in Israel this past week, missiles were flying over from Gaza. So it's vital that we do everything we can to assist individuals that are constantly in harm's way, that have school children in places where you never know whether a missile's going to come down on them, or a playground where a missile's going to come down on them. So it's my pleasure to be here with the Kents and to be here with y'all. And God bless you for all your support, not only of our country, but of Israel. Thank you.
And it's my pleasure to introduce Aaron Cholo. Did I pronounce your name right?
More or less.
Okay.
Well, good evening, shalom. And I want to thank really the Kents for their hospitality and above all for organizing this wonderful meeting and for you that you have come here and listened to our story. So thank you very much. And this is a story that actually will be complemented by Karen, who will speak after me. So I work in Israel's third largest hospital. It's called Asaf HaRofeh. I know it's difficult for you to remember that, but that's a fact. Anyway, Asaf is a private name, like Asaph in the Bible, in the Psalms. Yes. David's court poet. And Harofeh means the physician. So Asaf HaRofeh was a doctor about 1,400 years ago, lived in Galilee, because all throughout the dispersion of the Jews, there were Jewish communities in the land of Israel. Never abandoned completely the land of Israel, the Jewish people. And this doctor used to walk and see his patients in the Galilee with his students and disciples, just like Jesus did in his time. And he used to visit, and after the visit, he would talk to the disciples, the students, say, well, this guy had this and this and this, but remember, he's old, we will treat him as the same way that we're treating a young man. Or a woman, the same way we treat a woman that we treat a man. The principle was that medicine had to be very humane, not technical. And it was a work of God done by the man. And he wrote the first book of ethics of medicine. Okay? And the original is still kept in the British Museum. We already put it in.
Oh my God.
Okay. So we honor Asaf HaRofeh because we strive to have the same principles of humanity, compassion in medicine as he did 1,400 years ago. And all the students that finish medicine in Israel take their oath under the book of Asaf HaRofeh, or the Maimonides, one of the other, rituals. So that's the name of the hospital. It's a 900-bed hospital, very near Tel Aviv airport. We serve about 600,000 people in central Israel. Many of these Israelis, I don't think it's working. But I don't know if you need the microphone. I don't think I need the microphone, right? So, okay, many of these people are new immigrants. Many of them still trying to get into the complexity of Israeli society. And, you know, everybody gets the best medical care we can really provide. And it's a pluralistic hospital. If you visit the hospital, you see, of course, Jews, but you see many Muslims and many Christians from the nearby cities, which are mixed towns like Ramle and Lud, both Arabs and Jews. And among these Arab communities, we have Greek Orthodox, Maronites, Catholics, and evangelicals, and you name it. So it's very pluralistic, and everybody is treated the same. Now, I can say that we deliver about 9,000 new Israelis every year. We have a huge maternity. Thanks God. That's amazing. We serve with devotion our Israeli Defense Forces. The largest military camp in the country is next to us, our neighbors. And actually, that's the beginning of the hospital, because in 1918, a Christian Zionist, Congressman, a Christian Zionist, named General Allenby, who conquered for the British Army the Middle East and got rid of the Turks and established the British mandate, built a huge base there, called Sarafin. Today we call it Srifim. And that huge base, military base, had an infirmary. Then in 1948, when the Israeli new army took over the camp and the infirmary, was declared to be a hospital. A few barracks. I mean, if you saw them, you cry. But that was a hospital. That hospital slowly developed into what is today a modern, thriving, very good medical center. And it always had that reputation of a Safar affair, the compassion. You see, the maternity then used to be infested by rats in barracks. But women wanted to go there because the doctors were good. Thanks God we don't have the rats anymore. We kept a few barracks. So, it is an academic hospital. We have 4 schools inside the hospital. And it's a research hospital. And many of the things that maybe you use and know, you don't know they came from there. But really, a lot of medical research, a lot of medical innovation. And this is a blessing not only for Israel, but for the whole world, as you see. Yes. So, what is more important than the research and the good medicine is that we are a community-oriented hospital, and we do things that hospitals should not be doing, but we do it with pride. We are the only hospital in the world that's got a soup kitchen. We deliver 300 very good meals a day to people that have hardship in eating. We renovated a small place where it was given by one of the nearby cities, and people, you know, get enrolled by the municipality and they eat there. We send 100 meals to old people that cannot go out shopping for food, many of them Holocaust survivors. And our volunteers bring the food even during the holidays. We have a special school for handicapped kids. They go there at the age of 3 years. They leave the hospital at the age of 9 years. In this period, mostly kids that were born with CP, cerebral palsy. They get operated to improve their movements, the way they can move, and they get an education that really is one of the prides of our hospital. When these kids go out of the school, they join the normal education system. We have kids that already have served in the IDF, not in the commandos, obviously, but you know, as clerks, and they give a lot of pride to them. This gives a lot of pride to them. So we have very many programs, but tonight I am very proud and very touched to speak about a new project that we are doing together with Karen, who is going to speak after me, which is called Rescue the Child. And it started a couple of months ago when this lady came to visit me, and I was very busy trying to figure out how am I going to pay for a new underground hospital that we're building. We are converting our underground parking garage for 900 automobiles into a modern underground anti-atomic, anti-gas, anti-everything hospital with 400 beds under the earth. And I was going crazy. And she walks into my office and she introduced herself. And she said, my name is Karen, I'm an evangelical pastor. And I was brought by a common friend. And you know, I visited Gaza during the Christmas, and the situation of the children there is terrible. She will tell more details about it. So I said, well, you know, I can imagine so, but what can I do for you? And she said, you have to help me. You have to bring them here. Wow! She's asking for something, right? Our enemies, how do I go there and bring them? And I'm busy building an underground to protect myself and my people from them. You know, they're throwing missiles. And we have to keep working. And Iran is threatening us. And we don't know what's going to happen in Syria or Egypt. And she comes and she wants to bring the kids, you know, from Gaza. I looked at her and I read her message. Now, we are Jews, and we know what suffering means. And in this area, we are very, very sensible. And we don't know enemies or not enemies. We were talking about children. So she touched my heart. And I said, Karen, after we spoke for a while, and I said, Karen, I cannot give you an answer because, I have to consult with the management and the doctors, the pediatric, the hospital, and we should talk again. Give me 48 hours. So 48 hours went by. Of course, I did my job, and I was very happy to call Karen. I said, Karen, go ahead. Just bring them. So we had a common meeting. We discussed the terms, how we're going to operate. She came to visit the hospital. I took her to the children's hospital. I think she was very impressed. As I said before, our doctors are really not only technicians, they are really mensch, really warm people. And one of our doctors said, don't bring only children, bring them, older so they know what we do for them. And with God's help, we should start, we already brought the first one, I should talk about it. During the festivity of Purim, the first girl she brought from Gaza, her name was Esther. Coincidence? So, of course, we pray that this is going to be a successful project because that will show that we always have our hand extended, not only to help, but for peace. And we want the world to know this, not only what, unfortunately, people are fed about wrong misinformation about Israel. In Israel, we do wonderful things. It's not easy sometimes, but sometimes we do not only what we feel, but what we are commanded to do. So thank you if you can support us. I'm very proud to be in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta 1,000 times to the airport. I fly Delta and a lot. So thank you very much, and I invite Karen to share with me.
I just thank you, and I'm so honored to be here tonight in Atlanta with friends and new friends. I've been in Israel 11 years. When I got to Israel, my car was blown up in the city of Jericho. My house was started on fire. I wrote a book about it, which they're on the table and complimentary if anyone wants one. But I had a rough time trying to make peacemakers out of Islamic extreme. But there was one Zionist group. The Christians were really, even my Christian church and people around me said, why are you wasting your time? But I met the Israeli army when I was in the city of Jericho, and they told me how proud they were of the work I was doing. They let me speak at a graduation. They said, if you will submit your financial reports to us and the movement of what you're doing, we're going to do great things for you. So we now have a political status in Israel. We have offices in 18 to 20 churches in the city of Jericho, all from Muslim background. Okay, so we're very successful in our anti-terror education. We run after the giant of terror with our program, and we've gotten like I said, the Israeli army has acknowledged us and given us a political status. They asked me to go to the city of Gaza 2.5 years ago. And it was one of the captains in the army said, it's time for you to go to Gaza. And so we went in there, and we met with families, and we've been working there 2.5 years. Christmas, I wanted to go visit my son in Paris, and I felt like I was in prayer, and I felt like I was told to go into the Gaza Strip. And I thought, wow, spend Christmas in Gaza Strip. But I went into the hospital, and you got to understand, not everybody in Gaza Strip or the West Bank is terrorist. Some people are victims of terror. And Israel has never had a war against children. Their war is against terror. It's against terror. And so I was in the Gaza Strip. I was in the maternity ward. I saw children dying. I saw families, a father crying because his son's hand kept busting out and leaking water. I saw a Christian family whose baby quit growing, and I saw all this in a very short time. So I called up Captain Shai, because I am friends with the Israeli army, and I report to him. So I said, Captain Shai, your war isn't against these children. And he said, Karen, we're going to let you bring these children out of the Gaza Strip. And so this in itself is a very big miracle. I have a military clearance. I can go anywhere in Israel. And so when I come out and I went to the hospital, when I saw the children's ward, I cried. It's nothing like a hospital here. It's not sterilized and institutionalized. I mean, it is love, where these children are getting so much love and then being put back into the community. And so I'm just so honored to be in partnership with this hospital. And we brought our first little girl out, Esther, during Purim, and now we're working on Muhammad, whose hand swelled up and leak water. But I was also so impressed with Professor Goldman when he said, Karen, don't limit it just to babies. Bring us some young adults so that they can see that Israel is not their enemy. And so this is such a unique strategy. I know there's 27 refugee camps in Israel. I know where the tools for terrorism are. I know where the Islamic extreme neighborhoods are. But we're going to strategically, when there's a funeral in the West Bank or Gaza, 500 people will show up at the funeral with no invitation. So we know strategically in every refugee camp, we will find a child to bring to the hospital. And the more funds we raise, the more children we can bring in and out of Gaza Strip. We're going to believe for social reformation. And I just believe that. I believe that the compassion, I'm a Christian, I have a church in Damascus Gate, right next to the Garden Tomb, and we have those churches in Jericho, and we're working in Gaza. But I believe the compassion that the Jewish people are showing for the enemy's children and the love of God. I believe love is the answer to terrorism, and love can take down any mountain. And we're just believing for the fall of terrorism. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. But it's an adventure being into the good land of Israel. It's an exceedingly good land, flows with milk and honey. God said it's an exceedingly good land, and that's it. It doesn't matter if it's Ramallah, Gaza, Tel Aviv, or Jerusalem. God said it's a good land. And I'm just so honored to be in Israel, 11 years now, and moving with Rescue the Child. And I just want to thank you for coming and supporting the move of God in Israel. Thank you. One thing, we do workshops, and I won't go into it. I did speak in a United States military school not too long ago. It was a real honor for me. I was the first non-academic to ever be invited to speak in a postgraduate school, and I was doing a PowerPoint on terrorism. So I've studied a little bit about Islamic Jihad. Islamic Jihad, for an example, it's their ideology, an extreme ideology. You never forgive your enemy. In the Gaza Strip, they have their cell phones. They say, don't forget the blood of the martyr. They're very sophisticated. They don't let the families forget. year after year, martyr after martyr. They call them martyrs, we call them terrorists. But when if you're a suicide bomber, you do something against Israel, immediately the Palestinian government send you monthly checks. Okay? I'm amongst them. So we teach forgiveness. As my faith, Christians, we understand forgiveness. The Christian faith is built on forgiveness. And so we go in there and we call it anti-terror education, and we teach on forgiveness. We fly Gaza school teachers, Palestinians, and Israeli soldiers together for workshops. I have a wounded Israeli soldier that works in my media department that we're teaching a job skill to, and I have 2 Jewish orphans that live with us in the church that have Down syndrome. So we believe just bringing the people together. We'll bring them out of the West Bank, and we took them to the big church in Jerusalem. And then the Palestinians said, what about the Jews? Do the Jews have a place to pray? And I said, let me take you and show you. I take them to the Western Wall, and I tell the soldier, look, they're in an educational program. We go to the Western Wall, and I said, look, the Jews don't have a temple. I said, the Jews don't have a temple. They pray at the wall. And so this was education. You got to understand the Palestinians are the most biblically uneducated people probably in the world. And so we teach the Bible. We teach what God says about Israel. I mean, and they are really fascinated with it. They're really fascinated with it. So we have a lot of success in our programs. We've done a lot of humanitarian work. We've rebuilt houses. We've done educational programs. We're doing peace talks between the kibbutz and the Arab city. And so the Jewish people, let me tell you how the Jewish people want to make peace. No matter what you hear in the United States, I had a delegation of Jewish people come to me from the kibbutz in the Jordan Valley and said, will you please set up peace talks with us, with our Arab neighbors. They said, you lived in Jericho for a while. We feel you're the person to go in there and start bringing the women together and the men together. The Jewish people are peacemakers. And like I said, the battle is against terror, and it's a battle for everybody against terror. It doesn't matter what religion or what country, what nation, we all have to fight terror. And I believe fighting terror with love. Think about this, mothers and fathers. If somebody, like this beautiful hospital, I'm praying that God will give us some leader in the Gaza Strip whose child has to have treatment. Some extreme leader. And think about it. I take your baby, and you're from Hamas or Islamic Jihad, and I bring your child to this hospital. Are you going to throw a missile at it? And this hospital is right in the line of fire. So I just believe that nobody's going to throw a missile when you're taking care of their children. So I feel that this is a very great strategy, and I just thank God to be a part of it.
Two questions. One, is it possible that you could take some members of the Puberty Prevention Club, both Jewish and Palestinian kids, and let them lead us into peace? Let those kids lead us into peace. Give them a voice, because they know each other, they become friends, and I think if people around the world, everybody sees that, that could be very powerful. The second thing I want to say is we have at Emory University a global humanitarian summit, and we have the richest man from Kuwait coming, and he's come in the past. And I'm Jewish, and he wanted me to introduce him to some Christian guy, Jimmy Carter, because they were doing some work in Pakistan. And I wonder if we could somehow or another get the richest man in Kuwait to contribute to this effort, and then you've got all three coming together.
Working together.
Yeah. and I can connect you with him when he's here. And it's all open to everybody for free.
Thank you very much.
Has anybody had the honor of thanking our host?
So come, come and rescue the child. Rescue the child with mercy. So come, come and rescue the child. Rescue the child with mercy. Reaching out with arms of love, they shall be restored. Reaching out with arms of love, they shall be healed. So come, come, rescue the child. Rescue the child with mercy. Georgia, rescue the child. America, rescue the child with mercy.
Thank you so much for coming. Obviously, this is a fundraiser. You do that from our literature that we sent out. Open your hearts and give, and let's make a difference. And feel free to stay and mingle. There's lots of food. Please eat some. Take some home with you. Yes.
Jeff, and
Oh.
we want to honor Roger Bonds.
Oh, yes. Hello, Roger.
Our chairman. Yes.
Hey, Roger, would you like to speak a word?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I
great.
join you up there?
Yes, you can. Come on up.
So, where did Neil Schulman go? Is he still around here? Seriously, is he still around here? Yeah. Good. He's where? Neil, how are you, buddy? Neil Schulman and I go back a long time, and I wanted to tell you, over 20 years ago, I tracked him down because I found out he was the author of the book and movie Doc Hollywood. Michael J. Fox, you remember? And so I tracked him down. He finally gave me an appointment to meet him at lunch on a Saturday at his favorite Russian restaurant. And we enjoyed each other's company so much, we had lunch and dinner at the same table because we never left the table.
Yeah.
So,
And you paid for it.
yeah.
It was worth it. And he wants to go back.
So, I'm glad to see you. Well, it is such a joy to be with all of you. And Jack, you're always there for us. Kay, you're always there for us. And of course, I'm chairman of the Fulton County Republican Party. And so we've had various political events with the Kents, and which have been resoundingly successful. And mark my word, I would have never become chairman of the party if it weren't for Jack and Kay with their support. But we had some things we wanted to fix, and we did that. And now we've had such success, and I see so many dear friends here tonight. And some of you, of course, are in the Republican Jewish Coalition, and we love you, know you so well. And some of you are other members who live here in the greater Atlanta area. And again, it's just a room full of friends. But how touching to hear both of you speak tonight, and what we're all here for. Now, I personally, I'm in the medical field working with physicians every day, and I see other physicians here tonight. And we're here to support you, and everyone believes in what you're doing so much. Again, thank you all for having us tonight, and Jack and Kay, special thanks to you. Thank you so much.
Say something. Okay, you want to talk about how they can make checks out and so forth.
Thank you. I was asked to say that you can make your checks payable to Living Bread, short for Living Bread International Church, and on the floor line indicate that it's for the Rescue the Child program, and your gifts will be fully tax deductible.
And they will send you a...
Yes, you will receive a tax deductible receipt.
Where do you want them to put the checks?
In the office, right here in the front.
Around the corner.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Feel free to mingle and eat some food and enjoy some good fellowship. And thank you for coming.